A lot of times we either take worship or we take slavery, but there are two separate things in English, but they're combined in Arabic into the word ibadah and ubudiyah. So when the messenger says, La a'budu ma ta'budun, it doesn't just mean I will not worship. Also, I will not be enslaved to. I will not become a slave of. Very briefly, I'll remind you of the difference between worship and slavery. When Maghrib happened, we worshipped Allah. When Isha comes up, we will worship Allah. But in between the prayers, what are we? Slaves of Allah. When you're sleeping, you're not worshiping, but you're still a slave. When you wake up, when you're driving to work, brushing your teeth, eating your breakfast, parking your car, even if you're not reciting Quran or you're not doing an act of worship, you are still what? A slave. In other words, worship is specific acts. The act of fasting, the act of praying, the act of making hajj, the act of reciting Quran, the act of giving sadaqah. These are acts of worship. But a slave is a slave all the time, whether he does those acts or not. This concept is very powerful. It means we are to live according to how Allah wants us to live, not just in Jum'ah during the khutbah and when the salah is going on. We are enslaved to Allah in between the prayers too. حافظوا على الصلوات والصلاة الوسطى. In Salat al-Wusta, some commentary says it's between the prayers. Be connected to Allah too. You know what happens a lot of times? People worship Allah, but they still don't act like His slave. They worship Allah, they come pray Asr. I'll say, I got time for Maghrib, let me go catch a movie. And they come back from Maghrib. So they worshipped Allah, but they didn't act like what? Didn't act like a slave. Somebody owns a liquor store, comes to the salah for 5 times. He worships Allah, but he's clearly not acting like what? A slave. He's not obeying Allah. And sometimes, because we have these partial English definitions, you know what happens? We think to ourselves, hey, at least I worship Him. So, la a'budu ma ta'budun. La a'budu, I will not be enslaved to, and I will not worship what you have been worshipping. Now we have to understand, Allah, in this ayah, the messenger is being told to talk about what they worship and what they are slaves of. So what is it that they worship, and what is it that they're slaves of? They're worshippers of idols, false gods. And they are slaves of their own desires. 2 things. They worship the idols, and they are slaves of their own selves, their own hawa, their own nafs. And the messenger says, I refuse to worship your idols, and I refuse to be enslaved to my own desires. I refuse both of those things. I'm never going to. Now, the mushrikun said, he's been rejecting our religion for a decade now almost. Let's give him a compromise, maybe the future. Makkah has become pretty tense, Always this confrontation between the Muslims and the kuffar. Let's make a compromise, life will become better. Their idea is we want harmony in society, from their point of view. And if we compromise, things will get better. There won't be any tension in Makkah anymore. So our future will be better. La a'budu, according to most grammarians, the la on the mudari' actually more than present illustrates the future. In other words, the messenger says, don't have your hopes up. I am not going to. It's never going to happen. I will never, if you're thinking the future is going to be softer on you, I will never worship, and I will refuse to be enslaved to whatever you worship and you are enslaved to. So the one who has found Allah, what happens to them? Inna salati wa nusuki wa mahyaya wa mamati lillahi rabbil alameen. It's very simple for them. The one who has really found Allah, their salah is for Allah, their sacrifices for Allah, their life and their death is now for Allah. The way they live, the way they eat, the way they sleep, what they want to do with their life, their long-term goals, their short-term goals, what are they going to do with their kids, why are they getting an education, where are they going to work, everything is now for Allah, that is their goal. But for the one who doesn't have that goal, they have to find another goal. And in old times there used to be idols, there used to be other religions, you find some other god. But in our times it's become far more pathetic. Far more pathetic. Now you have someone who's obsessed with their body and they're working out 18 hours a day. And their only goal in life is to just keep getting buffer and buffer. It's the only goal. Take steroid and look sharp, stay on top, keep in shape. Or there's this goal they set with their trainer. I got to do this many reps, or I got to do this many push-ups, or I got to bench press this many pounds, etc. That's their goal. That has become their ilah. For a person that their life has become about money. Have you met people? They cannot talk about anything except their work. They can't. Yeah, I work at this company, I do this. And the moment they lose their job, they become suicidal. Because that's all they ever thought about. That's all they ever did with their life. That's all they ever did. That becomes their goal. For some people, it's their children. They live for their children. They do everything for their children. Day and night they think about their children. There is no other thought running in their mind. There is no other goal before them than their children. That is all they run after. When you don't find Him, you will find something else. You will find something else, and you will run after it. And you will give your life to it. And there is no exception among human beings. And today it could be even a slacker. And you could ask me, what about a slacker? You know those kids that play 20 hours of video games a day and don't get off the couch? Well, what is their goal? It is to entertain themselves. It is to fry their brain cells behind a screen. That is their ultimate goal. That is what they want to reach. And they're working hard to attain it every day. Right? That's what it becomes. These are the psychological implications of understanding Tawheed. It is easy to say Allah is one. But is He one in my life? Is He the one for me? Or do I have some other one that I'm running after? Or some other thing that I put before myself? Allah asked this question rhetorically. He says, مَا غَرَّكَ بِرَبِّكَ الْكَرِيمِ. What deluded you from your gracious Master? What was so important to you that you ran after, that you couldn't come after this? Subhanallah. Subhanallah. So when he uses this word, Huwallahu Ahad, its psychological implications, its implications on our attitude towards Allah, and how we think about our life completely changes. Now there is nothing more important to me than making Him happy. Nothing more important to me than Him being pleased with me. Nothing more important to me than He forgiving me. Nothing more important to me that He would talk to me on the Day of Judgment telling me that I'm successful. He will look towards me. I will not be from the ones He turns away from. وَلَا يُكَلِّمُهُمُ اللَّهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. Allah will not talk to them on the Day of Judgment. May Allah not make us from those people. These are some of the psychological implications of just internalizing ahad. Ahad. Just that word. What Allah is saying, this is who Allah is. This is what He's supposed to do. And I want to conclude, because it's time for salah, with the following. We're going to first look at a basic definition of as-samad. As-samad ay al-kafi. As-samad is the one who is enough. الَّذِي يَرْجِعُونَ إِلَيْهِ إِذَا احْتَاجُوهُ. The one who they return to whenever they have a need of Him. هُوَ الَّذِي يَكْفِيهِم. He is the one who is enough for them. وَيَسُدُّ حَاجَاتِهِمْ وَأَسْئِلَتَهُمْ الَّذِي يَصْمِدُونَ إِلَيْهِ. And He is the one who fulfills all of their needs and answers all of their questions, the ones that they attribute to Him or turn to Him with عند الحاجة, at the time of need. هذا معنى الصمد. This is the meaning of samad في اللغة. صمد إليه أي توجه إليه. And linguistically speaking, when you use the word samad as a verb, it means to turn attention towards someone. وطلب منه الحاجة, or to demand from them the fulfillment of a need. المصمود إليه هو السيد المتوجه إليه. المصمود is the word masmood is actually what samad implies, is the one to whom people turn in time of need. Another meaning, so that's one meaning I'd like you to remember, samad, one you turn to in time of need.